Hi, my name is Mary. I am HR consultant at SAP Brazil, and I'm based in São Paulo. I'm happy to welcome everyone who is attending our session today, from stakeholders to guests. Our purpose in this open session is to inspire undergrad students who are attending our Hack4Youth, our sharing with the community what SAP thinks about the future of customer experience.
So hi everyone, I'm Kasia Klipsch and I'm a Customer Innovation Principal and also the leader of SAP Experience Squad in Brazil. And we are thrilled to have you here. And as Mary said, our purpose is to contribute, share our knowledge with students and everyone else who wants to know a little bit more about designing experiences for the future. So this is the opening of our sharing sessions within our Hack4Youth event, which is an extended hackathon for students aiming at creating a virtual office for SAP. This is an initiative from our SAP Experience Squad in Brazil, and the host of this session is the very person who created this squad, the only worldwide SAP squad to combine forces from global programs such as Early Talent, University Alliances, Next Gen, and University Ambassadors to deliver better and unison experiences for students.
So now I would like to welcome Adriana Arolho, our SAP Brazil president. She will be hosting the whole event, and at the end of it, she will be conducting a Q&A session, and you are most welcome to join us. Meet Adriana.
Hello, Mari. Hello, Kasia. Hello, everyone. How nice to be here. Well, I can feel the energy. So let me start by introducing myself. As Mary and Kasia already said, I'm Adriana Arolho. I am the president of SAP in Brazil since mid-2020. Before that, I was the COO of our company for a couple of years, and that's when I created the Experience Squad. And I've been around since 2017, and it has been quite an adventure. I love this company. But my job number one is to be the mother of two amazing kids, Camila, she's 14, and Theo, he's 11. Theo, and they are the love of my life. Theo is a gamer. This is really not my thing, but I'm loving my t-shirt, and I'm sure he will want it. About SAP, guys, we are the global leaders in enterprise management software. Our purpose as a company is to help the world run better and improve people's lives. And we do it through our solutions, our ecosystem, and our community. And it's with a lot of responsibility that we say that over 75% of global GDP runs in one of our systems. Almost 50 years in Germany, almost 25 years here in Brazil. We have 1,200 employees in São Paulo and Rio offices, and an awesome R&D lab in the south of Brazil in São Leopoldo with over 1,000 employees. It's an innovation center, and you should check it out. Our mission is to help companies become intelligent enterprises. And an intelligent enterprise is a company that grows with sustainability and resilience. Sustainability is a big priority for SAP, not only in our solutions, but also in our operations, in our social investments. An intelligent enterprise is sustainable, ethical, and diverse. Equity, diversity, and inclusion is another big topic for us around here. It's directly related to our innovation culture. And with that, I want to introduce our chief designer and futurist, Martin Wizowski. Hello, Martin. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
Fine. So glad to have you here.
Yeah, me too. I would actually rather be there than here, but you know what I mean. Zoom works perfectly all right for today.
So the stage is yours, Martin. I'll be back at the end.
Ah, awesome. Okay, then I go. Let me know if I'm going over time, everybody. Here we go, because, well, let me present my screen to start with. Share screen. Here we go. Okay. If anything, just let me know. Right. This is some minutes we will spend together. I will talk, then we will have Q&A about the future, which is a very long time. Actually, the future is extremely long. For example, you will spend the rest of your lives in the future, guys. Just have you thought about it? Maybe you should, because it means that you could do something about it. That's the first chapter. What is happening out there that we would like to grab and do something with? Just look at I don't know if you remember Nirvana, an old band from the 90s, sounded something like this. Okay, I love that. However, one trick though, that was not Nirvana. There was a picture of Nirvana or a video of Nirvana. Hopefully you saw that movie and everything, and you hopefully heard the sound. The song was written by an AI, by an artificial intelligence that listened through all the hit songs they made, the biggest 30 songs there, and sort of made a new song, new lyrics, new idea, new melody. And there's a cover band performing that in the background, which should give us a new idea about what is possible, what is human work, what is creativity really, and so on. And what have you imagined? If this is possible, what new imagination does it evoke? Now, the next little video here is about Thomas Edison, the very famous guy that created the light bulb, the very symbol I started with, although it was a hand grenade, although it was a light bulb. Here, he's really playing around with being an innovator. He invented here a science fiction movie where he has a magical powder, put it on a chair, and the chair starts to fly. So he's thinking, maybe I should put this powder or sprinkle this powder all over myself so I can fly, and fly to, obviously, Mars, which is one of these dreams we have as humanity. Yeah, there you go. He's flying out to space. Imagination. Why would Thomas Edison, this very, very savvy businessman, and the one that invented the light bulb and electricity as we know it, as we use it for a long time, also, the big fight with Tesla, Nikola Tesla in America about who invented what, and that guy plays around with science fiction movies, with pure imagination, fantasy. And I think there's a very special reason. With the power of imagination comes the power of shaping, right? First, you need to imagine, folks. Then after that, you can go to work. So my question is, every morning, what do you think about? The big, important, deep question every morning. And the question is obviously, what's the future? That's the question. What is the future? Because with that question, you can take the journey out and see how you will shape it. This is the question you should ask yourselves. What's the future I will shape? And one thing the future I can tell you it's not predictable, but it is an action sport. Like this, I love this sequence here. Look. This is the future. What I mean by that is, if everything is going perfectly smoothly, you know exactly what you're doing. You have planned everything to every centimeter. You are not doing the future. You're just playing safe. The future is an action sport, and it feels very wrong when you're doing it really, really right. So you cannot really predict the future, but you can prepare for it. Let me show you an example and try to unpack it. One of our customers, Mattel, this is one of their biggest products ever, Barbie, obviously. Let's see what Barbie can do for us.
I want to be a scientist.
Eureka! A scientist. I think science is so amazing. Why do you want to be a scientist?
I always really liked chemistry and physics in school.
The study of physics is incredible. Take gravity. You can't see it, but the second you trip, it's right there to pull you down. Did you ever fall or trip on something?
Yeah, unfortunately, all the time.
It happens to me all the time. That's gravity, pulling you down, sometimes with an ouch.
Sometimes with an ouch. Guys, this is amazing. This plastic piece of a toy has the intelligence we used on our desktop computers, so just, not so many years ago, few handful years ago. It's natural language processing, it's Wi-Fi, it's cloud computing, it's Moore's law. It's so tiny, you know, Moore's law, and things happen exponentially. The chipsets get smaller and smaller and cheaper. This is $100 toy. And it's pretty entertaining, but there is always a bigger picture. Already there, I think you can start to see how you can observe the future, because this is what we do in our labs. We try to observe the future and try to understand how can we shape it. Now, if Barbie can do that, what would happen if, say, the child that Barbie is playing with is hungry? And Barbie can hear that, sense that through the skin, and can order a hamburger delivered with a drone and paid by your credit card, obviously, because you're the parent, to the company. And then we must ask, what kind of industry is Barbie playing in? What kind of design is this? We thought it only was a toy, but maybe it's a sensing personal food taste machine, Michelin star preparations stuff, consulting latest research on food, of healthy food, and so on. Now, if the food, the hamburger, is stolen by another child, maybe, and if Barbie records that with her eyes, because you can do that nowadays. I mean, this is very cheap sensors, cameras, you can put them there. And we have face recognition, we have obviously GPS and so on. What business is she in then? So we're expanding and expanding this vision, this observation of the future, to different narratives, different scenarios, stories that we can tell each other. Because obviously all sorts of things could happen, bad or good, right? So this is an important scenario to unpack. This didn't last forever. People were a little bit afraid that Barbie would listen to kids. However, this is also a little bit stupid, because you have your Siri, you have your Google thing, you have your Amazon thing, you have whatever things you have in your home, and you're not afraid of that, but you're afraid of Barbie. That was 2019. So that didn't work out. But this is also another part of observing the future, the human emotions. They are very irrational and really stupid sometimes, but they are expressed. And if you look at this, how far it can go, this is obviously very advanced artificial intelligence, machine learning technology here. It was many years ago, Boston Dynamics released this. And people start to be worried, and they start to write letters to American PETA, which is the animal protection organization. Oh, people are kicking dogs, this is terrible. And PETA really had to answer to stop them. Guys, we are not, nobody's kicking dogs here. We are really busy protecting real animals. These are robots. So see how humans work. We are a strange animal and needs to be accounted for in the design. Speaking of strange animals, look at these guys. They are going to space. And have you thought about why? I mean, they are rich, they are guys and so on, but that's stereotypical. Look at this gentleman, George Russell. He quit NASA after 17 years. How do you tell your mom and dad that you quit NASA? So, you know what I mean? And he started this company, and he's shooting this thing, that's Joel, to space to capture asteroids, to squeeze out any chemistry with lasers, obviously lasers, to build gas stations in space. That's what he says. Gas stations in space. He brings rocket fuel out of space material. And he's not wrong, you know. 2017, I told you, maybe some of you even, if you saw me before that, NASA is observing a very big stone out there that is worth 8,000 quadrillion pounds, British pounds. That's a bananas kind of money. Now, just last year, NASA gave SpaceX the mission to start and retrieve some of this and see if we can start to mine that stone. So there's big business in space. So Joel is right. These guys understand there is a bigger picture, just like with Barbie. Caterpillar. I mean, we thought they were a little bit boring company, you know, doing digging and stuff. But no, it's a wonderful visionary company going to space. And you thought that Under Armour is making, you know, t-shirts and running shoes. No, they also make space suits for Richard Branson's space company, Virgin Galactic. And if you think that that's it, it's only business, no, it's getting politics and social issues. Pussy Riot has said on democratizing the moon, if you don't write the narrative of how we are going to explore and use space, then somebody else will. Somebody else will write that narrative. Why not you, listeners to this? Why aren't you the space narrative creators, because there is business in space, and you see the normal stuff happening, like Estee Lauder paying $128K to make a photo shoot there. This gentleman is building hotels in space. He's a billionaire that has a lot of hotels out there. And this is a friend of mine. This laughter is a laughter. It's a laughter of a art project he did where a laughter was recorded and then translated to these different forms. And the one laughter that people voted most on was 3D printed in space and shoot out into our galaxy. So now we have art in space, and it's human laughter because it's something that connects us together. What we just did in this sort of first chapter here that we will continue a little bit more, we articulated a future. We created a future idea. Now we are designers of that future. And we call that future industrialization of space. Okay, let's move on. Doctors take very long time to make. They are very expensive to make, and we need them very, very dearly. However, even if we produce a very clever doctor, she will never know every illness and condition you ever had, or in the history of Homo sapiens, compared to every illness and condition you can have in every second you live, compared to every piece of research comes out. But then AI can actually act on that much faster, especially together with her. And the accuracy of diagnostics goes up exponentially. We are almost at 100% together. And this comes obviously with sensors and new technologies coming out. So we need to connect these dots to tell these stories. These guys, for example, it's a startup from Germany. They competed in a startup exposition here at IFA in Berlin. I was judging there, and they said, Martin, we have a fantastic idea. We have human organs as a service. I was thinking, guys, is that legal? Is that really legal? But I said, no worries. These are not real human organs. We will 3D print human body pieces for studies, for educations, for experimentation, to make drugs safer, but without suffering and without the costs. Wonderful ideas. Again, Under Armour, T-shirts and spacesuits, but also connecting in business this time, 300 million people on a health platform. So this is an unexpected business innovation and convergence. This should have happened 2020, but obviously because of Corona, it didn't. But the plan is amazing. This restaurant just wants your body fluids, which sounds a little bit gross, to be honest, like a restaurant and my body fluids should be sent in the same sentence, but they do. So they will measure your DNA. They will check when you walk into a restaurant how you feel that day, compared to your DNA, and then 3D print the perfect piece of food for you, because food is medicine. There you go. So your piece of data comes out of you, which is DNA and how you feel and so on, body temperature, whatever. And then through that data, new things are created and you eat them and you change your data, your DNA, how you feel, maybe your body temperature and so on. We are data. This gentleman is walking, talking, he's looking, smelling, and he has patterns of movements and how he behaves, his laughter. It defines him as Barack Obama. However, you've probably seen this before.
Simply, President Trump is a total and complete dipshit. Now, you see, I would never say these things, at least not in a public address, but someone else would. Someone like Jordan Peele.
This is obviously deep fakes. Some of them are really funny. Some of them are really serious, like this one. If you Google, you will see. However, they build on something that is us. We are data. We can extract data out of our bodies, but with the new technologies, we can go further. We can control the physical world around us. Not only the people with our message, but for example, we can drive a Formula One car, even if we are paralyzed, like this gentleman or this lady, type, but only with her mind. And this is no black magic, no mythology. This is just technology, electricity. She can type with thinking of typing. This is where technology is today. So we can really extract what we're thinking and get it out in the real world. However, what's interesting, could we put data inside our body, not extract it? Let's think like this. This is a little chip that you can swallow. It's like a grain of rice. You can measure your body temperature for a while. It's big as a grain of rice, as you can see, the white thing there. However, 3 years later, someone invented not only a chip, but a little compute piece. And this is as large as a grain of sugar. Now imagine this piece of computation in the future could have data on it that is specially designed for you and put it in your neural networks, in your brain somehow when you drink it in your coffee, because you can have hundreds or maybe thousands of them in that coffee. Or maybe in your morning drink and put data in you. So perhaps you can wake up and drink your little morning drink. And in that drink, there's data about Afro-Brazilian history in capoeira. And you can learn it and use it throughout your working day, however you want to combine these two skills. Yes, we are data, and the ultimate data is in our DNA. And this is how crazy the future is. We can now change and manipulate it. And what have you imagined before you start to shape it? Because if we are humans, what is human-centered design, as we're so proud of? What is human even in 2040? One thing we can say about this first big chapter here is that never in the human history has the now been so temporary. So take that moment, be in that moment, and be that designer of the future, and take this opportunity to think about the bigger scale and narrative that you can build. Otherwise, someone else will build it for you. Okay, future is happening. Science fiction is becoming science fact. In between, there's us. So how are we? You saw Nirvana before. This is actually me on some of the pictures here. I wasn't always working for SAP. And the reason was very simple. And I encourage you to think like that. The reasonable human adapts to the world around her. The unreasonable one tries to change the world. Therefore, all progress is the result of unreasonable humans. And I don't mean that you should be totally unreasonable, but it's a value set to actually have the guts to dare to challenge the status quo. And the new skills outlook for 22 is a little bit different than the old one. From the manual management, installation, maintenance, management, sorry managers, it's over. Coordination and monitoring. No, we're moving to innovation, learning, to creativity, critical thinking, like challenge the status quo, complex problem solving, not your normal tactics, leadership, social intelligences, emotional adaptability, and normal reasoning between people. And all this might even take like 100 days per year to learn. So we're moving from a very different paradigm where we, went to school and were super happy and, oh, what is this? Oh, seriously, is this happening? Yeah, new stuff. And then we work, and then we have this period of time that we call retirement. What happens after retirement, we have no idea, nothing. But I think we need to change that. The retirement disappears, the work disappears, there's only learning. Instant learning, always learning, ever learning, whatever you want to call it. It happens all throughout your life. So be happy about it. That's the fun part of stuff. But it's also on personal level, also on a scale of enterprises. It's moving from, we are here to make profit and run everything in hierarchies that we can control because we have plans and needs to keep them to ourselves. It's moving from now we tell everybody why we are here, because that's the only way to network. Otherwise, they wouldn't care. And if we network, we can empower each other to experiment. And we need to do it in transparency. That's the future of work, how we see it. Because there's a very good book I think you should read. It's called Bullshit Jobs. Written by an anthropologist who said a bullshit job is one that even the person doing it is secretly believing it shouldn't be done. And he says it's not that the people don't want to work, it's the people want to feel that they are transforming the world in a way that makes a positive difference. The unreasonable ones, if you just follow the world, you transform nothing. So what have you imagined? I love this from Nordstrom's new employee handbook. It says, welcome to Nordstrom. There's one rule: use your good judgment at all situations. No more rules. Use your good judgment. It's up to us. We are the change makers. And it doesn't have to be someone like me with gray beard and long hair. No, it could be someone like you. Look at these two people, especially Einstein. I didn't find a real good photo of Marie Curie when she was really young. If experience were all that mattered, then older folks would always have better ideas than the younger counterparts, but we don't. Einstein was in his 20s. Marie Curie was in her 20s. when they change the world forever. Like these people. Look at them. Would you ever stand up in front of them and say, hey, I will tell you what's going to be relevant soon? We have no idea. We have no idea. And that's a good start of a fantastic conversation that we always should have together. We have no idea, and let us be proud of that, because this is how science starts. And here are a couple of methods that we're using to bring ideas forward. This one is called 3 horizons. First horizon, innovate something better of what you have, always incremental way forward. Second one, connect to other people and see how they innovate. And you can see how this adjacent innovation, this forecasting into the future, takes you even further. This is quite 2 different innovations, but there is a third horizon. And if you can forecast to the third horizon, it is by definition not the third horizon. It is then the second horizon, because forecasting happens from first to second. The third horizon is very different. You cannot predict the future, as I started, but you can imagine it. You can have a vision, thought leadership. And this is where you can backcast what happens year 10 or 9 or 8 or 7 and forecast year 1, 2, 3, and 4, and meeting the horizon of trust. Trust the vision, trust each other, trust your resources that you have right now. One way to explain it is another sort of a symbolic method that we use. You know, validate, incubate, scale is usually said the startup community, the innovation community mantra. Do the things right. However, I find it operations, nothing more. This is how things should be done today on average, if we say so. And this is because we can put it in a bigger picture. Again, if you do things right, then you can be very effective and efficient. This means that you run very fast in one direction. What if that's the wrong direction? What if this is the wrong thing to do and you're doing it really, really well? This is why we need to explore, build these future narratives, as I told you about future of space and Barbie and everything. So you have a point of view and then a strategy. Schopenhauer said it beautifully. He said, talent hits the targets no one can hit. So you win, you're doing things right. But he also said, genius hits targets nobody can see. So what do you see? What's your vision? What have you imagined? It's a question that comes back, right? Your imagination about the future. And this is how we want it. It's a little bit like, you know, the moonshot. John F. Kennedy said, we're going to take a human being to the moon. The same human being is coming back alive, and we're going to do it before the decade is out. Establish that vision and the content and how you want to do it. Place it out as almost like this planets out there that you want to go. It's not as straight as a moonshot. My friend calls it Upenbarbe. He calls it, it's a slingshot. You use the gravity of the imagination, your imagination, to track the path around the third horizon. You shoot your rocket. So establish the vision. Second, make the vision tangible, make prototypes. And then when you have followers and people believe in this, go back to work, go back to the second horizon of trust, and then you can make anything you want. One company that did it quite well, you might recognize it. They said, we want to make a computer as a book. However, this was 1981. Computers back in 81 were big as this half of this room. In a book, really, and you can carry it around, learn it in 20 minutes. It will be connected in some magical radio link to other books and libraries. So he started to make this vision tangible. And they made it in plastic. There's no technology inside. Impossible. Of course, impossible. It's just like Edison in the science fiction movie. So he tried again, make it like open and close. And they tried again and brought it to market. Okay, it's really ugly. But then they made it beautiful, then they make it small, and then they made it exactly like your book. This is Apple 27-year story to the future. Use that method. I will show you a piece of one of my favorite series ever. It is Star Trek. Listen to Captain Kirk when he's struggling with the idea. This is too dangerous. The doctor says, we cannot land on this planet.
Dr. McCoy is right in pointing out the enormous danger potential in any contact with life and intelligence as fantastically advanced as this. But I must point out that the possibilities, the potential for knowledge and advancement is equally great. Risk.
Risk. Risk is our business. This is why we are aboard the Starship Enterprise. Guys, this is very important. See again, it's an action sport. If you're doing everything perfectly safely, no risk, there is no future. Be a little bit unreasonable. Okay, last chapter, I promise. Now, if we observe the future and how crazy it can be and make these narratives, and then we have these methods like the 3 horizons and the innovation curation map, as I called the doing things right and doing the right things, how would we apply them? We did it once, and we still always do it. Every year, we apply these methods and try to have an innovation vision about the future of work and what we think humans should do at work. And here's a very short glimpse about that. Our innovation vision is that systems where machine intelligence and human ingenuity flourish in empathic symbiosis. And machine intelligence on one side and human ingenuity on the other side, totally in love. Because Hollywood would tell you that it's man versus machine. It's total BS. Who made that shit up? Who wants that? No, we want these 2 entities on this planet, us and the machines, to help each other, augment each other. Here's the 4 pillars: automation, autonomy, augmentation, and augmentation of businesses, not only of the individuals. So you see, when we augment our businesses, our enterprises, our adventures, and we augment ourselves to optimal selves in every situation, we can say that human ingenuity then flourishes. If we automate the businesses and we make our networks of businesses, our connections and relationships autonomous in an algorithmic way, we can move forward. Look at these guys. This is a picture from Daimler, a friend of mine, a futurist here in Berlin. He said, forget the car, we will have self-driving cars for sure. But look at the people. What will the people do when the rest is automated? Functions as a service. Again, you remember the bullshit jobs? Maybe driving a car and braking and trying to be safe is first very hard, but also something that humans maybe shouldn't do anymore. Maybe we should just meet and discuss the high value human tasks. And we've been doing this for quite a while, since the 50s. Now we are in the digital era. We have sort of non-routine problem solving, not only manual work. And we move into the intelligence and cognitive tasks and knowledge work that really matters. And in the end, maybe explore and interact with each other, because that's high value human work. So we can leave this manual and cognitive load and move to something that is important to us, our passions and our dreams. That's good work, folks. And that would be just a short deep dive into the automation and autonomy of the systems, algorithm that can help us. Now, on the other side, us humans, the superhumans, can also be augmented to something very, very different. Let me have a conversation with this future robot. Hey, Analytics, what's up this morning?
Good morning, Martin. You will have a fairly busy morning, but there is time for a good cup of coffee. Your biometrics show me that it would be good for you, but just 1 cup, remember.
Okay, only 1 cup of coffee, I promise. I drink too much coffee in the morning, so sometimes I cannot take decisions. And this thing knows this. It knows me personally, intimately, safely, and securely. So we can augment each other. I can tell it stuff, I can use stuff. And it also tells me I'm useless in the mornings. Maybe I will have busy morning. You will not, because you are amazing in the morning. You get up with the sunrise and you do your capoeira, and then you're done with your day. I have busy mornings. Okay. Thank you, Analytics, for this heads up. Me and Leia discussed our employee satisfaction, how people hang out together, and how we can boost productivity, but also cut a little bit of travel costs, I think. What do you think? I know it's a strange question, but let me know.
When colleagues travel so they can spend time face-to-face, your delivery quality goes up 5%. That saves software maintenance costs with customers by 2.5%. I found the routes that would make sense economically and that allow the colleagues to spend the most time face-to-face. We will review them tomorrow.
Okay, this is amazing. This is actually fantastic. This is pure imagination. This is how we create the future. This concept demo is made out of something we wish, that we can connect so much data and we can learn so much about you so we can serve it back to amplify you, to augment you, to enable you to do stuff that you couldn't before, to become, you know, free from the constraints of human knowledge and become something like a normal human being, becoming yourself, whoever you want to be. And this is how we would like to follow the dreams and the dream world that we want to create. And it's not only a utopia, we call it also a doutopia, to do, to design, to deliver the things we really want to happen in that future, where the smartest app, what is the smartest app, by the way? Huh? I tell you what I think it is. It's the one that makes you smarter, or whatever you want to be again. And this is built on this data. I told you, humans are data. However, that content, we need to, this is why I think we need to augment each other. We need to bring it into a human context. We augment machines, machines augment us. We collect data, it becomes information and then knowledge and then some kind of wisdom, maybe you can call it. And if you look on it from a product perspective, which we do, products and services, you have some features, you put it in the product, then you serve them. What you do is build relationship. And this is the top of the pyramid that is so important, where, you know, if you're still managing data and information and collecting features, you're below the line of what I think is smart. Nurturing relationships is the future design description. Design your relationships, the rest will follow. Very important message, because in this human machine world, as I call it, we will have very complex decisions. It's the human machine intelligence, it's the human machine intelligence, not only the machine or human intelligence. Let's face it, complex decision require human creativity, and human creativity is not adjusting margins in your Word document. It's actually writing a beautiful love letter, or a contract with your best customer, or a white paper for your university, or just a poem because you feel like it, or a new song for Nirvana, although they are gone. That's what human ingenuity and human machine intelligence, human machine intelligence should be. Now, some brands are understanding this. Look for these brands. I strongly believe SAP is one. Patagonia said, look, we're going to sue the US president because he's stealing land from nature reserves. We're going to give back $10 million from Black Friday because it's a stupid business idea, the Black Friday idea, the sales. Look, so why do they do this? They're making jackets and they're making other equipment for people to climb a mountain, for example, okay? But they said, look, you buy a jacket, you climb that mountain, you look over the world and say, wow, this is beautiful. And Patagonia says, we told you so. Our purpose is to save the planet. We just happen to make jackets. SAP's purpose, or our manifesto, is to improve people's life and make the world run better. We just happen to make software. So I'll leave you with this question. Why are you relevant 10 years from now? What have you imagined? What have you hoped for? What are your future outlook? And for whom are you relevant 10 years from now? And you don't have to answer it right now. But if you can't start thinking about it, you take a very big risk. If you can't say why you're relevant 10 years from now, or at least articulate it, you risk to not be relevant 10 years from now as a company, as a team, as an idea maker, as a future maker. And this is exactly what you are. Now I leave you with this application, the last demo, I promise. It's called pen and paper. Some of you have seen it, some of you have never touched it. This is a travel voucher. Basically, if you're working for a big company, you use their vehicle, you need to get the money back for gasoline and so on. This was 1969, and the guy was called Aldrin. And he used a company vehicle called a government spacecraft, and his destination was the moon. This is Buzz Aldrin's travel expenses he had to make to get his $33 back for his visit to the moon. And he had no idea that it would be possible to joke about it 47 years later on a new technology called Twitter. Even with the largest imagination, the courage he showed when he went to space, maybe even he couldn't imagine this fantastic future. But I claim that you can. This is the last sort of dynamic slide. What I want to talk about is how to dare to challenge the future without losing your mind. First, you need to say it. You need to really say that the future you imagine will be like this. Talk to people. Only then you can get a great response and you can empower that vision. You need to make us see. So make example, make demos like I did with this chatbot or whatever you want to call it, this very intelligent, smart, very personal chat. So it feels like it was you. Make us feel, make us understand, but be intelligently emotional, not only emotional, because if you're only emotional, you will screw up the politics. Political system and social systems, so, I mean, are large, very emotional, and sometimes they play the emotions against ourselves. Be careful there and be smart as much as you're emotional. And it is a complex game. And you need to be a conductor, like a musical conductor of a big, big complex orchestra to conduct this complexity, because it has many, many parts. And with this many parts comes different parts. And to have one big idea, you first need to have many, many different ideas. So love diversity around you. And when you have diversity, you might be afraid that there will be competition. But nobody can be you. Your DNA is unique. Your ideas are special. And you cannot be anybody else. You can only be you, which is amazing. Therefore, if nobody can be you, but they can work with you, you can complement each other until you complete each other as a team, as a unit in the future. And when you do, things will change, and you need to love that change instead of resist it, like some people do also in social dilemmas and politics. And when you see that change, make decisions for what is desirable, what is good. Be that designer of that future. And you also need to love something called synchronicity or serendipity. When things happen in a way that are seemingly leading in a direction, be the conductor of that synchronicity as well. So now, to close it down, you probably hear wonderful music. You probably already guessed that this music is not written by a human. It's an AI. The AI is called Ava, and the piece is called Genesis. Just to remind you that every moment is temporary, and it is a genesis of the rest of your life that you will spend in the future. So use your imagination to design a future we all want to live in. And I will leave you with a poem, I think. You're a ghost driving a meat-coated skeleton made from stardust, riding a rock, hurtling through space. So fear nothing. Thank you very much.
Wow, you gave us a lot to think, Martin. This is awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening this long time. And I saw in a glimpse of it, there are some questions coming in. So
right.
I'm excited that people are at least thinking what's happening out here.
Oh, absolutely. I have a list of questions. I don't think we have time for all of them, but I'll pick some of them.
All right.
So you asked us what we were doing to be relevant in 10 years from now, right? One of the questions is, what is SAP doing to continue being relevant 10 years from now?
I think what we have realized is that whatever technology we bring to this earth, and we can bring a lot of technologies, obviously, to this planet, it must be relevant for the people on it. And to have people on this planet, we need to save the planet with people on it. It's a duality here. I think many times we talk about saving the environment. To be honest, the environment doesn't need saving. If people, you and I, disappeared tomorrow, sorry everybody, but that could happen actually, an asteroid or whatever. I mean, seriously, let's be a futurist here. There are many dangers around this globe: nuclear power, asteroids, solar flares, and so on. If we would disappear, the Earth will bounce back. I mean, give it some years and the Earth will thrive. We don't need to save this planet. What we need to save is our relationship, so the planet still welcomes us and doesn't kill us. Because that could happen very, very, very easily. What we're doing for that is a total engagement in augmenting people to understand that they do have an effect. that they do have the power to imagine and then make something different for that future that they imagine. And that can be a very positive and desirable future where technology can help them to realize their dreams. And we are extremely engaged in the environmental issues, where we started with prototypes a long time ago to track, for example, sustainable food, to help agriculture to use less of the dangerous stuff. And we're looking forward to a future where we can, because there's no other company that touches so many parts of production, of delivery, of consumption, of economy that SAP does. We are the company that can actually change the environmental effect end to end. And this is something we do for the future.
Absolutely, could not agree more, Marty. Another one here. Do you think augmented and virtual reality immersive experiences are going to be adopted by the corporate world from now on, mainly during the pandemic? How do you see it?
I think so. I think any kind of alternative reality that makes us see things we cannot see normally, like my glasses. I mean, to be honest, it's not really augmented reality, but if you see very blurry, put them on, aha, okay, it's a little bit augmented, to be honest. I mean, seriously, you wear glasses as well. Very cool. I think it will be just more and more natural for us to see what things are made of, what they cost, or where they come from, speaking of environment, how they are constructed, how we can fix them, how we can change and affect the world, and how the world affects us. Should we touch this, should we not? Just very, very everyday stuff. But this will go further, where we can imagine new worlds and new environments together. Maybe even connecting to see how other people feel. And we've seen this also in when people have, for example, when they are afraid of going out, when they have some psychological disease. Augmented reality can help other people to understand how that is to live with it, so we can live better together. Maybe this augmentation and cross realities can help sort of a global empathy. And with global empathy on the rise, obviously we will have a better planet to live on. I think it's a very natural development that we augment ourselves, also with, augmented reality and vision, for example.
Good. Mari, another one here around learning. You talked a lot about that, right? So what do you see will be the main challenge for learning in the future, and how companies can nurture a learning culture?
So there's an old expression I really like, help people to learn. The biggest learning we can make, the biggest education should happen in make people learn, learning about learning. Today, we think the learning happens in a certain container in our lives, in the beginning of their lives, and then maybe a few other times. It's not true. We need to drop it totally. Learning happens every day. Our conversation today, for example, should be a learning from me, from the questions you ask, and should be a learning from you, from the message I have. Maybe you agree, you don't, you have an opinion about this, and all of a sudden you change the way you think about that world. What does it mean to, what have you learned? And this is how companies, everybody should think about this. I think mentorship will be very important. And also from a perspective where we shouldn't, look to being mentored, but maybe discover afterwards, I think I was just mentored. That could be your 7-year-old cousin. It could be your old teacher, which would be the natural mentor, or it could be the gentleman that was in the grocery store, so in the cashier, giving you the fruit and the oranges and selling something really clever, and say, he always tells me something clever. Maybe this is my mentor. This is when we really help each other with thoughts, with human ingenuity, and we exchange natural experiences. This is also a part of learning that I think will be on the rise. But also, we need to have a natural curiosity, ability to expand our minds. So both the time and the money in companies to let people think and actually think freely, and also allow them to fail and experiment and fail and learn, experiment, fail, learn. That's how it goes, because the world is changing so fast. So while you're trying to write your curriculum, it changed again. So just dive in and experiment and be maybe even unreasonable, as I said before, because that's the only way to change the world.
One of the questions here is if you have tips, recommendations of areas to study that are related to all the future stuff that we just saw.
I think it's very important to understand the technology that develops around us. You don't have to know it by heart. You don't have to be a programmer in future machine learning languages. However, it would be good to know what machine learning is. I believe it's important to just be curious, to be a generalist with a special interest or three, maybe. Choose them yourselves, but be really interested in what's happening around you in any field. As you see, the maybe banal and funny example with Barbie, but it could be so that future gadgets around us can feel and sense us. Could, when something is stolen, they could be policing us and so on. So try to make this not before seeing connections. Be the conductor of the complexity in your mind. So the areas are many, and you need to be diverse in your thinking. So try to read stuff you don't read normally. Try to listen to music you maybe wouldn't choose. Try to meet people you maybe otherwise wouldn't meet. So be diverse in your friendships and your learnings around. These are the areas to investigate. It's not like if we pick one area now and we have the same discussion 5 years from now and people say, Martin, but you said it was this or this and this. You were wrong. Of course I'm wrong. We have no idea. Remember the big slide? We have no idea. However, we do have an idea how to be curious and how to see patterns, how to ask questions, how to understand each other. That is nothing new. So if you're not doing that, you're doing something wrong. So be curious.
That is great. And that is one of the many things why I love this company so much. Stay curious is one of our pillars in our culture values of how we run. This is awesome. Martin, changing gears here a little bit. We have a question around your view on industries that tend to invest more in technology and be ahead of the game. We are known for our industry knowledge. So any comments around industries that you see that are really in advance or ahead of the game here?
Well, there are some. I mean, we see changes. Basically, we see changes everywhere. Any kind of high-tech industry is very, very much in advance. We've seen also in manufacturing, supply chain, all these things are optimized and so on. However, I'm not looking at a specific industry. I'm looking instead on a specific willingness to change. If you look, for example, at how mobility, how we move around, how we actually make space travel maybe soon more and more affordable within the say next decade of 15 years. That was unthinkable. I'm totally unthinkable and also illegal just a few years ago. The government space agencies have the monopoly on shooting stuff up in space. It was regulated because it came from, even the Second World War, the Cold War that followed. NASA grew up out of that and became very successful. All of a sudden, NASA is a customer to SpaceX. I mean, come on. They broke all the rules, all the other industries. And then you look at, for example, banking, and banking says, oh no, we have so much regulations, we cannot change. Martin, you don't understand our business. I'm thinking, wait a second. If NASA and SpaceX could come out of a government regulated Cold War, I think you can do too. So it's a matter of attitude and really trying hard, because it is very, very hard and sometimes very expensive. Space is a good example. Where also space is also a good example. Industries you should look out for that resemblance of space is when the players play together. When you see players coming together and chip in and the big cost of change, because of the unknown, like in the space aviation. Sometimes it happens in mobility today, in the automotive industry. You see some parts coming together, local mobility, Mercedes and BMW come. But many times they do is of fear of competing with each other. But at the same time, they come together and complete each other. So look for industries that play nice and they understand that they are not the only one. Look for these industries.
Very nice. Martin, and it's great that you brought NASA up. Last year in our SAP now, we had Holly with us. She was the first woman ahead of a space mission. and she shared her experience, and it was just amazing. It's available in YouTube, guys. You should check it out.
I need to check it out. Yeah, I think everybody knows by now I'm a space geek. So
I have a last question for you. We have a lot of students hearing us, and they are about to start their professional lives. So if you have one professional and one personal tip for them, what would that be?
I think we nailed many of them. We talked about around them, but it always comes back to this curiosity, I believe, and this power to observe, look at stuff, ask what it is, ask questions. Any questions you ask might be more important than any answer you can give or somebody else can give you. Always try to understand, what is the status quo? Could it be different? Do I have the imagination? And also, personally, believe in your imagination. Really, really do. Imagination is a personal, fantastic activity, like looking out the window and just imagine stuff. Now, today, it is also a business activity. So your personal imagination and daydreams might be the biggest business change of the future. So believe in your imagination, use it to challenge your belief in this planet, in this world, and see how you can make it better. Because one of the personal tips that might be a little bit heavy to carry, but we should do it. You're accountable for the rest of this future. You're one of us. So let's do this together.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. Well, it was amazing. And I can't believe we are on the top of the hour here. So thank you so much, Martin. You really gave us a lot to think. It was really, really a pleasure to have you with us. Any final comment here so we can close it up?
Yeah, I think I can't wait to see you guys actually in real life. We know how it is today. To sit down and have this chat. So without you, Adriana, having to tell me the questions, how about sitting in a group of 20, 30 people here and there and actually, and also, I can't wait until I can visit Brazil again, because it's somehow a cool country to visit. So yeah, let me be there soon.
Absolutely. We would love to have you here. And yes, we'll definitely do that when it's safe. So hopefully not too far from now. Folks, it was a pleasure for SAP Brazil to have you guys here with us today. I hope you have enjoyed as much as I did. I definitely have a lot to think. And stay safe, stay well, and we'll be in touch. Thank you so much.